Welcome to Really Old Movies. I'm your host, Harrison Scullin, and today I'll be discussing Dark Journey from 1937. Some essential movie details from the film's IMDb page. One of the most closely guarded secrets of the war, a Q ship, was a heavily armed merchant ship with concealed weaponry designed to lure German submarines into making surface attacks and then open fire and sink them. The idea was to be a wolf in sheep's clothing. Their codename referred to their home port of Queenstown, now Cobb, in County Cork, Ireland. And that's one of the major boats that's in this movie towards the climax and end of the film. Alright, so now I'll get to my thoughts on Dark Journey's plot. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I thought it was decent. This is probably one of the earliest spy films we've ever had. There's probably some earlier, but this seems to be one of the earliest ones. And I love the concept of it. I love the idea of two lovers who fall in love even though they're on opposing sides. And, it makes for great drama, but honestly, I don't think it was executed very well. It was pretty bland and pretty boring. And everything else all around it, too, was kind of boring. Usually I love war movies. I love that kind of thing. But it seems to me that they couldn't decide if it wanted to be a romance or not, or a straight drama or anything like that, so I wasn't a huge fan of it. And so that's why I gave it a plot of 3 out of 5, because the idea is really, really good, but I don't think the execution was quite there. Alright, in regards to the acting, I gave that a 2 out of 5. I love Vivien Leigh and Conrad Veidt. Vivien Leigh, she's in Gone with the Wind. Conrad Veidt, he's in Casablanca, Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. But to me here, for some reason, they were not very good. Vivien Leigh was okay, not great, but I've seen her do much, much better just 2 years later in Gone with the Wind. And then Conrad Veidt, like I mentioned, Casablanca, Dr. Caligari, he's great as those kind of villains, maybe more side characters, that sort of thing, and in his silent films, right? But to me, I think he's much better as that, as a villain, a side character, not as a leading man, not as a romantic character, because to me he seemed way too serious, even in the romantic scenes. It felt like it was out of his wheelhouse. It felt like he wasn't very good, which is really sad because, like I said, I think he's a great villain. So that's why I give the acting a 2 out of 5, because our main leads, the whole reason why we're even watching this, are not very good. In regards to the directing, I also gave that a 2 out of 5. I thought it was really bad. It seems like this director wasn't sure how to make a romance. I think it should have just been a World War I spy thriller. Like, that's it. Maybe a little hint of romance, but not have that be a good chunk of the movie. Like I was saying, the performances of Vivien Leigh and Conrad Veidt, I think would have been much better suited for a straight drama war film, not as a bit of a romantic film. And yeah, I kind of blame the director for that, because I don't think he did very good with that. Alright, in regards to cinematography and special effects, I gave it a 3 out of 5. I actually thought it was pretty decent. The model ships are really cool. The battles that they have with them are really cool. But other than that, it's nothing crazy, nothing spectacular. It's something you would kind of expect. Like, the effects kind of remind me a lot of the effects in Harm's Way, where the boats, you could kind of tell they're fake boats. And I think that's just an unfortunate thing with models back then, is that it's hard to make it look real because the water they put it in kind of looks like a pool. It's very, very difficult. I can't imagine how difficult it was, but it was still good. It wasn't terrible. All right, in regards to music, I gave that a 2 out of 5. Though it was not good at all. I wish there was more of it. That's why I think the film shouldn't have tried to be romance, because in romance movies like Casablanca, there's serious moments and all of that, kind of like in this, but when we get to the romantic scenes, there's like romantic music in the background, and in this, there's very little, if any, and it didn't invoke emotions of romance. To me, that actually helps elevate your romantic scenes a lot better. And so this didn't have hardly any, and yeah, it was not good. All right, so tallying that all up, that brings my Letterboxd score to a 2.4 out of 5, which I'm rounding to a 2 out of 5. So would I recommend this movie? To be honest, no. I think this will only hurt your opinions of Vivien Leigh and Conrad Veidt. I think they're in better movies with better writers and directors and so forth. So no, honestly, this is a pretty disappointing film. All right, well, those are my thoughts on Dark Journey from 1937. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Really Old Movies, where I discuss details about the week's particular film. New podcast episodes are released Saturdays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. All right, thank you so much. This has been Really Old Movies. I'm your host, Harrison Scullin. Take care.